let's see. Let's see. Are we on Facebook? Let me go check. Let's check it out. Wow, we're live. We're live in the inner circle. Okay, we're live in Solar Growth Hacks. Oh boy. Let's see. And we have our chat. Morning, gentlemen. Look at that. We have a Facebook user. I don't know who that is. I don't know why I can't see who it is, but that's cool, I guess. Oh, you are live, says a Facebook user. Thank you guys for the assistance. Yeah, I have no idea what we're doing, by the way.
So, we have 8 people on here already. So
really, 8?
Yeah.
Oh man, Gus just wait. Oh yeah, shoot! I was supposed to go through and like manually give people a link. I don't know how to even do that. I'll just assume. No, that's not good. Let me just give me 1 minute. Let me see if I can figure out how to link this video elsewhere, and then we'll get into the questions and stuff. Luis just reacted to the live video. Luis is the guy who's messaging me as we speak. Awesome. Well, we'll just go ahead and get into it. I apologize to anyone who I guess actually I don't need this, but Gus, can you talk?
Yep, I sure can. I'm here.
Really? Oh, I can't hear you, so I guess
on the air.
So I apologize to anybody who was requested a notification. I don't know how to give you a notification, but I don't want to stall. I want to get into some questions and talk with Gus here about the things that we want to talk about is mainly making online leads suck less, because there's a lot of people out there that think online leads suck, and I'm actually one of them, which is funny from a lead generator's perspective, that online leads really aren't they're like a step above door knocking, but it's not a very big step. It's a step, but it is not as large as a lot of people think it is. And the reason I wanted to interview Gus is because Gus is a great example of the mindset and the work required to make online leads work. And I mean, his first month with online leads, he crushed it. I think he had at least 6 deals, and he had like 4 in like his first week. And he was like, oh, this is the greatest thing of all time. So I wanted to interview him, get some insights, and hopefully use that to help other people out there that maybe are learning online leads as they go. So first off, Gus, thank you for being here. Would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself?
Hello, everyone. So my name is Gustavo Velasquez. I'm from California. I moved to Texas about 15 years ago. And my main focus today is just, I'm going too fast right now. So basically, about a little bit myself, I've been in solar for about 4 years. I've been in direct sales for 10. Solar kind of changed everything for me as far as my life. I was able to quit my job a couple years ago, and it was awesome. So I fired my boss. That was the most exciting part. But my main focus today is just to help anybody. It took me a long time to be able to become a solar pro, and as far as sales go, but I feel like I'm ready to kind of help other people, and that's what my main focus is today. It's just to help anybody as far as if they need any help or just figure it out. I'm here to help anybody just, crush it.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah. So I have little captions on there right now. If you have any questions, make sure to drop them in the comments. We'll get to them. It could be questions for Gus or myself. We'll probably both be able to help with that in any way that we can. So as I mentioned earlier, like the first week Gus was on my leads, it was insane. I've never seen somebody who was able to get online leads, and like 10 minutes after that lead came in, Gus was like, oh, I already got a bill from them. And so that's the main thing I think that it's always stuck with me about yourself is you are the master at getting the bills. In my opinion, from the people I spoke with, you are the master about getting the bills. Can you provide us with a little bit of insight about what your strategy is and how you kind of go about that? Because I know you actually asked for it a little bit earlier than most people do.
So I kind of just jump right into it when I'm talking to a person on the phone. I like to talk to them between like 5 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes as soon as the lead comes in because that's when it's freshest, and that's when you're most likely going to convert them into an appointment. But yeah, so what I like to do is I do a series of questions before I get to that question, just because I want to build rapport and I want to make sure the customer is comfortable and I'm asking questions. But that's just like my way of doing it. Just I have like I think it's like 10 questions. I'll go into it, but I guess as like an example, it's like you're like a GPS system. All you're trying to do is get them to target. That's all you're trying to do. Sometimes you got to turn right on Main Street. Sometimes you got to turn left. It doesn't matter where what it is, but you're just the GPS system for them. You're the navigator to get them to the next step.
Okay, so walk me through like when the lead comes in, like what is the first steps that you look to take? Like, can you walk us through? Like, say, you give me a ring, and I say, "Hey, this is Kyle." Let's just go ahead and walk through your initial
Okay.
approach.
Perfect. So, hey, Kyle, my name is Gustavo Velasquez. I have seen that you recently requested information on Facebook in regards of solar. And the very first question I ask is this your first time looking into clean energy as regards to solar? Because right there, you're going to literally let them talk for about 30 seconds or however long they do, because you're going to figure out right there and then their pains and their don't want and what they do want. Um, some people are going to be honest with you, like they probably had bad experiences or whatever, but that's the very first question because I want them to talk to me and I want to figure out what they want. Just go into a series of questions and ask who the provider is, how long have they had them, and one of my main questions that I like to ask as well is what was your highest electric bill last year, because I want to build pain, um, and I can use that whenever I'm transitioning them into solar. But we'll get into that here in a sec.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think electric bill is like from a lead gen perspective, we're always like, oh, what's your average monthly electric bill? But I think what you do that's different is obviously what was your highest electric bill? Because like you said, building up that pain, and it's going to be much more painful when they're thinking about, oh, I paid $250 last July, then I paid $95
They're
last
gonna remember
month.
that.
And I
They're
mean,
gonna remember
especially too, if
that.
you're in the winter, or you're in March and your bill last month was 95, the average that they give you is probably going to be skewed kind of based on recency bias. So whatever has been, what's in their memory. So by doing that, it probably gives them a little bit more of a realistic expectation of what their bills actually cost. Let's see. What's next up. So let's talk about, I like that we're talking about questions like right now, because one of the things that I think you do really well is you don't, well, I think people, when they get on the phone with online leads specifically, they have this habit of like being direct and salesy and like trying to get through their qualifying questions as much as possible, like, which is great because we need to qualify them. But I think one of the like most important skills that people can develop is learning how to get answers to your questions, but maybe not asking it as directly as some people might be. Like, so for example, credit score, like is your credit above 650? The reason that's a tough question is because number one, people might lie because no one wants to really want to say that their credit score is not 650.
Mm-hmm.
But also a lot of people don't know. And so when we're more direct like that, it kind of puts people on the defensive. So one of the things that I love about you and your approach from talking to you is that you have a way of getting to questions indirectly. Do you have any examples of that, of how you would kind of get answers that you would like by asking a question that doesn't necessarily put them on the defensive?
So as far as like qualifying for credit,
Yeah, I mean any qualifying question is just more of
so
like,
my favorite one is just do you pay your bills on time? You're not asking them if there's the credit score is 650 or not. But that's the way I ask for that question. Um, so I guess the series of questions that I use is always the first one, like I said, is gonna be, is this the first time for you looking to solar? Second question is who's your provider? Third, how long have you had them? Fourth, what's your highest electric bill? Number five is what's your average? What would you say your average is? Because now that you asked them their highest bill, you already got some of the information from them, so they're not going to tell you, like you just said, for an example, their last bill was $100. So, well, I pay about 100. So they're gonna give you like a better average. And then also, I asked about their house. When's the last time you changed, or when's the last time you changed your roof? How long have you lived in your home? So is there any shading issues? Because the thing about everything is you have to find out the easiest way to do something. But the thing about it, you can't take shortcuts. That's the most important thing is, I'm horrible at taking shortcuts. I know I have a server mentality. I've always, waited tables and stuff did that for a long time as well. But it's always trying to find a shortcut to get to something. But you got to learn quick that you just can't take shortcuts. Just, just, just get it, ask the questions, and then of course the last question I asked was, okay, to give you a better aspect or a bit more of a savings report. All I'm gonna need for you to do is send me an electric bill, send me the front page and the back page, and then I'm gonna go ahead and start working for you because this is all about them, not about us. So like one of the people that I think they like is at the very end. Go ahead and get that started for you, and I'm gonna be working for you. So.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah. And I think you touched on a little bit is one of the things too is when you're on the phone with people, it's a little bit different than when you're trying to get them to fill out like a survey with like yes or no questions. And I think that's something that that's the main thing that people can take away from when you're talking to someone on the phone is you don't want to ask them, are you a homeowner? Yes or no. A better question would be, number one, hopefully if we're on the phone with them, we're assuming that they've already indicated they're a homeowner, but then we can start asking questions like, how long have you owned your home? And then they'll give us an answer about that. Okay, you've owned your home for 10 years. Have you ever replaced your roof? And then if they say no, then we know their roof is at least 10 years old. And that's kind of a way that we can indirectly get the answers to those questions without like feeling like we're hammering them with yes or no's. And a lot of times people don't really know specifics, so we can kind of just get ideas. So it's really important to have kind of a script and a list of questions that aren't necessarily putting them on the defensive, but we're able to get the information that we want that way. So let's talk about closing virtually, because obviously right now we're all in this crazy world that we call post-coronavirus or during coronavirus. And a lot of people are working from home and closing virtually for the first time in their lives. A lot of people are. And I think that obviously, I believe, I think like 70% or 80%, like you've had at least 50% of your closes recently have been virtually. And so can you walk us through what is your strategy for pitching virtually? Do you use Zoom? Do you do it on the phone? And how does it compare to in person?
So it's a lot different. It's just don't get scared I said that, but the thing is it's a little bit different and it's not hard. It's just a transition of how you're wording your what you're saying. But the reason I like the company I work for is because we get a proposal, and if I'm on Zoom, I don't have to call and change it. I don't have to call and change it or get a redesign. I can literally change it all by myself and add panels, take off panels. But I think as far as like the report I built already, so I asked, one of the things that I ask is, so do you realize your bill's been going up for the last 10 years? It goes up for 45%. And I ask, when do you think is the next time your bill's gonna double again? Just because of what you think is what's going on right now. And like, do you think it's gonna happen in 2, 4, 6, 8, or 10 years? And then just tell them, the experts think it's gonna happen between 7 and 10 years. So your highest bill was already $350. What are we gonna do when it's $700? And they're like, well, I didn't even think about that. And I'm just like, it's gonna double at some point. Who knows when that's actually gonna happen? But I like to get people to see what it is and get a picture and just tell them, like, you know what? It's like you're going to go back in time. You're going to lock in your rate for 2 years ago, and you're going to lock it in right now, and it's never going to go back up. You're going to own it. It's going to be your energy. You're no longer going to be renting. That's why you own your house, right? So just like, all your money, it's like it's just going to the utility company. With solar, you're going to have like a piggy bank. You're investing in your own house. Yeah, I know it sounds scary. It's going to be for 25 years. But you're going to be paying this X amount in 25 years anyways. Which number do you like to see better? My job here today is to save you as much money. So one of the things too is like whenever they're going into the loan part and they're like, oh, that's 25 years. And I'm like, but look over here, this is what your home is going to value more. So my question is, do you plan on moving in the next 5 to 10 years? Most people right now, they're going to say no because they don't know what's going to happen in the future. But I just get into that part, and then that way I try to answer the questions before I get to them as far as the loans. That way it doesn't scare them. Just knowing what's your next step, just like if you're going through a PowerPoint. But just always being ready as far as answering people's questions and just being real thorough with how it is. Mm-hmm. And if just being confident in what you're saying. If you really don't know the question, to answer that question, you're saying, that's actually a great question. Let me get back to you. it's okay to say that. Just don't give them the wrong answer.
Yeah, that's when I worked with training appointment setters. I mean, that's a big one. Is you don't want to give a wrong answer and then have to either go back or worse, even worst case scenario, someone else has to go back and say, "Oh yeah, well that person was wrong," and then it's just gonna basically ruin all the momentum you built up. So when you're doing virtually, so do you use a PowerPoint?
No, I don't.
Okay, so do you do over the phone or do you use Zoom?
Most time I just do it over the phone.
Okay.
So I just get the proposal and like, okay, I'm about to send it to you. Go ahead and put me on speaker, and I text them the proposal, and I just go over it from top to bottom, how it is and what they're gonna save, and real simple. And then afterwards, but you know what? To qualify, all I gotta do is press this button.
That's funny. So with the obviously we're talking about using you're closing people over the phone, which a lot of people might think is more challenging or crazy or whatever have you. But do you have any strategies, or what is it like building rapport? How does it compare building rapport over the phone compared to in person? Because obviously it seems like it would be much more challenging. Can you tell us any maybe any sort of questions or any steps that you take to build rapport while you're on the phone with somebody?
So the very first thing is like the phone call. How does a phone call go whenever you qualify them and doing this discovery call with them, as far as setting the appointment for you to transition them into solar and get them to go ahead and sign a contract or whatever you have you. But yeah, so it starts at the very beginning. It starts from the person, I mean, from whenever the first transition in the call that you call them. That's where it first begins, what questions you're asking. And the reason we're asking all those questions is so that we can use them later. As far as like, you know, what's your highest bill? I mean, just I like to build rapport from the very beginning. And as soon as I call them on the phone, you know, I ask them, you know, how are you? How was your day? You know, it was a long day. If they right now if they're working, you know, high five them for that, because right now it's tough. It's tough to be working, especially for people that are essential or frontline workers. But always try to find out a little bit about them. And it's just like when you go into the house. When you go in the house, you see a dog, you pet it, man. If you don't pet the dog, you're gonna get kicked out of the house, and you're not gonna sell that deal.
Yeah.
It's all in the little things, and they make a big difference. And I'm just telling, I tell people, like, I'm not here to sell you anything, and that's the most important part. I'm just trying to help you save some money. And I think right now people aren't buying more and sells these people. They're buying people that are helping them if they're gonna save money and if they're helping the environment. And just the three things right now, and that's all you have to do. Just be confident and just make it easy. If they don't, and the thing too is if they're not ready, don't push them to sign anything. You know, just wait till next time. You know, call them back, because most people are going to take 3 to 5, 7 times for them to say yes. So that's how some of them were. Sometimes they weren't one touch closes, which I wish it was that easy. But sometimes you have to call them back. You're gonna have to call them back and be like, hey, you know, so I talked to you yesterday about this. Today, how do you feel about it? Do you have any questions? And sometimes you're like, you know what, we thought about it, and we're gonna go ahead and move forward. And it just sometimes you have to follow up. You have to.
Well, no, that leads into our next question. Was the reason one of the most frustrating things I think from a marketing guy, from a lead gen perspective, is working with solar reps that are maybe only following up with the lead once or twice, or they give a call, they leave a voicemail, and then they never attempt to follow up again, and then they get mad at me and they tell me that leads suck. And
hey, just send them to me.
Yeah, no, but that's something that that's why I'm like, yeah, leads do suck. That's why they require a lot of work. But can you tell us, like, give us an idea, what is your follow-up process like? Or maybe a better question is, what is your mindset like? How many times are you attempting to reach out to someone? At what point do you kind of give up? Like, can you give me an idea of how aggressive you are about that?
So the first thing I want to say is, this is your business, and it's only going to work if you do. So that's period. Like, so you have to, it's hard to do this, period. You have to be open and always wanting to learn. So I've been doing this for 4 years, and trust me, I did not close my first deal for a long time. And it was just because it wasn't because of my work ethic, but I was always trying, but just I didn't know how to do it. It was a transition. I was, you know, door guy. I wasn't there. I didn't really sell anything, but the thing is, like, it's just this is your business. Treat it like one. You want to make so like the biggest thing about it is if you don't call that lead more than 7 times, you literally throw away $5,000 to $7,000. That's the way I think. I don't want to throw away $5,000 to $7,000. You know what I mean? So I try to stay on top of what I got to do. So get up early. Do what you got to do. Take care of your business. Make your to-do list. See what you got. Take your tasks as far as your high level goes, and just be ready for whatever it is. But you have to call your lead 5 minutes right after it comes in. If you don't call it within 5 minutes, you literally shot yourself in the foot, and now you have 50% chance of converting them into an appointment. Because the reality is, when someone's putting their information in Facebook, they have time right there and then to answer the phone. They're looking at their phone right when the lead comes in. So you call them like, oh, and then they remember you like this, literally who you are, and then they'll be like, oh, Gustavo, how you doing? I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. So I'm actually for the reason where I'm called, and then you just go straight into the discovery call, and then like, hey, you know what? I'm busy. And one of the questions I do like to ask, and I guess I didn't add it earlier, is are you available in the morning or evenings? Because that's very important for an appointment setter or a person that's going to be closing the deal, because now they're available only in the mornings. Put them in there only in the mornings, so now you know who to call in the mornings and who to call in the afternoons. But it's always like asking them for their availability. Always asking, and it's just always being confident. Oh, you're available on nights. Are you available tonight? Or are you available tomorrow night? You always want to be in the conversation within 3 days. You don't want to go into it next week or next Saturday or anything like that. So that's just, I guess that's a little bit of my follow-up process and how I try to convert them into appointments. And look, whenever you're converting them to an appointment, sell the appointment. Don't sell solar. That's the main, like one of the important parts is wait to use that magic and all that good stuff later.
Yeah.
The phone call, just sell the appointment. Like, that's actually a great question. I'm gonna go ahead and put that in my notes, and I'm gonna have my consultant or my specialist or my solar expert come in, and he's gonna explain all that for you. And actually gonna leave you with a little bit more homework. Go ahead and write down all your questions and ask them to the consultant while you're at your house. And always be open to them asking you questions. Like I had one of my appointment the call center day, she called me, she's like, he has a lot of questions. And I was like, I love when people have a lot of questions, because the thing is, they're serious. They've looked into it. And if you can answer all their questions where they're comfortable, you're going to sell that deal, period.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think one of the things you said is like 7 times. And in my, like 7 phone calls, and in my opinion, that's like almost a minimum. Like, I usually recommend people, when you're following up with leads, like, number one, never leave a voicemail on the first call. If you call and they don't answer it, that's fine. Give them a call again a few hours later. Give them a call again later in the day. Like, the first 48 hours is crucial as far as having multiple attempts at multiple different times to try to get them on the phone. Because after that first 48 hours, you're going to encounter that thing that you kind of alluded to, which was they won't necessarily remember, or they won't remember, they say, that they filled out the information. And then you have to kind of get them to acknowledge that. And that in itself is like a full step as well, where if you can get them on the phone quickly, where you can say, hey, you filled out a form this morning, or even, hey, you filled out a form last night. They have a much harder time denying that, because number one, they know it's true. Number two, it's fresh in their memory. So, but even with leads that go a week or 2 weeks, I mean, it's important to even have follow-ups, and not necessarily you're not calling them on a daily basis if they're 3 weeks old, but checking with them every once in a while, still sending them text messages, sending them emails. And the great thing about technology is that we can automate a lot of that, because there's leads that have come in 2 months ago that we're still able to reactivate, and they say, no, I haven't given up, but the reason I haven't called you yet is because of this. And giving you that more information gives you the opportunity to say, oh, okay, cool. Well, what if we could do this? And if we were able to accomplish that, would you be interested in booking a call next week, and we can talk more about specifics? And I think the main thing is just never give up on online leads. You got to hit the pavement. You got to hustle. You got to work your butt off and follow up with these people until they tell you no. Just because they didn't answer the phone doesn't mean they're not interested. Just because they didn't reply to your text message doesn't mean they're not interested. You really do have to follow up. And that's the thing. I think one of the main messages that I try to communicate with people is, just because online leads have in theory opted in, they're not always 100% interested. A lot of times they just want to find out, oh, I didn't know about that. Could I get a little bit more information? And then they submit and request information. They're like, oh, well, I wanted information, but I didn't really want information enough to actually talk to someone. And that's kind of the mindset that's required. Is it's a numbers game. I mean, it's always a numbers game. You're never going to book appointments with 100% of the people. You'll be lucky if you can book appointments with even 30% of the people. I have seen people do it, but the main thing is having the process and the follow-up and the persistence to really be successful at it. And I think that's why you have been so successful. All right. So I guess my last question is, one of my last questions is, like I said, in my opinion, online leads are a lot suckier than people initially think when they get in here. What is your biggest tips for making online leads suck less?
One of the main things is call them, talk to them, automate them, don't let them go, follow up.
Mm-hmm.
Just that's the only thing that I can think of on the top of my head right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, just the follow-up process is always like one of the most important things, and always just communicating with the customer. Just making it about them and
Mm-hmm.
finding out what their whys are, what they want to go solar, and if this is definitely the first time or the only we want to find out what their last experiences were or not, or what their questions are. Go ahead and just answer the questions, and that's basically all my tips.
Yeah, I think
Get more leads.
yeah, more that's always easy. That's what more leads. I think the biggest thing is just mindset. It's just like sales. You're not, just because someone says no or just because someone doesn't buy doesn't mean that you're like, you don't need to be rejected. It's like, okay, great. Well, I appreciate your time. Once they've gotten to a point where they're obviously not salvageable, you say, you can obviously push back when it comes to objections and things like that. But if someone is disqualified and I said I was a homeowner, but I'm not really, people get upset and frustrated with that. Then why did you even submit the information? They just assume that every other lead is going to be just like that one. And I think the main thing is just having the skin to say, oh, okay, well, I appreciate your interest, but unfortunately, if you're not a homeowner, you're not able to qualify for this program. I appreciate your time, and I hope you have a great day. And you click them, you basically throw them in the trash can, and then rather than sitting and saying, oh, well, these leads suck, just getting to the next one and giving them a phone call. Because I think the main thing is just you're never going to find you're never going to find leads that are 100% effective anyways. But it's more about just having the ability to understand that rejection and failure is part of the process. It's just a numbers game, and you just got to make all the phone calls. And yeah, a portion of them are always going to stink, but there's gold behind all the crap. And that's kind of something I always say, is you have to dig through the crap to find the gold, but there's gold there for sure. And you have to work your pipeline in order to make that happen. All right. So the only question we have here is from Vincent, and it's not really related to marketing, but I'll put it up there anyways, is what installer do you guys use? So I am a marketing guy, but Gus, tell me, what installer do you use?
We use Titan, Premier. There's different ones, TSI here in Texas, Synergy in California. The good thing about it is that this with our company, we gave a 25-year production warranty, so we're able to kind of give a little bit of value. And right now, we're also giving people a 12-year no payments. So like you were saying earlier, like those warm leads or cold leads that you have in there, let them know what difference is going on, and they might want to go ahead and look back into it just because we have 12 months no payments. Always stay engaged and always reach back out to those people. You might find one of them that's, that's kind of what I wanted to hear, so they'll call you back. But yes, the installers we use, fairly easy.
Yeah, the big guys are
Very easy.
Fairly easy to work, especially when you're talking about virtual too. It really helps to have the ability to close in different markets and large areas. And obviously when you're working with companies like Titan, that's a little bit easier to do. Well, it looks like we're about to wrap up. We haven't had any more questions, which is fine. But I'm just going to say that we haven't had any more questions because my questions have been so great. So Gus, I appreciate you letting me kind of pick your mind and hopefully providing some insights to other people that maybe were watching that. One of the things I wanted to give you the opportunity to do is there is people out there that maybe want to improve their ability to close virtually, or maybe they might just have some questions for you specifically that they don't really want to ask in like the live stream. What would be the best way that people would be able to reach out to you?
Reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram. I'm gonna be Zero Down Solar with Gus on Instagram, and then Gus V Jr on Facebook. Just reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help answer any questions. And I did see one question here by Jimmy Evers. It says, Gus, do you do anything to kill the electric bill, like walking them through charges and letting them know what they were waiting for?
Wait, where are you?
And that's a lovely question. My answer to that one is I definitely do, because most people just pay their bill. They don't know what they're paying for. They don't know where it comes from. And one of the things I like to use is the Amazon delivery charge example, because most people have Prime now. Why are you going to pay for delivery? And here in Texas, we're paying for a delivery charge for Encore, which is usually about 30 to 40% of someone's bill. I can help you with that. So that's definitely one thing that I do use, because most people, like, there's TDU charges, all these different charges on their bill. But yeah, I definitely do kill a bill. And it's easy to do over the phone. Just have them look at their bill, basically, and tell you what the charges are. They'll be, oh, my base charge is $97 for my electricity. Oh, they charged me $35, $40 for delivery and paid $15 in taxes, and now I'm paying energy efficiency since thing for like $2, $3. And then I like to use an example of, okay, so we're in Texas, for example. There's 3 million or X amount of million people on Encore's line. Now I'm gonna just say 5 million, and they're charging everyone $2. So that means that Encore is making an extra $10 million. But that's not a really good example, because they don't actually charge that here in Texas. But it's a great example in other markets, like in the East Coast and in the West Coast, because they already have charges for energy efficiency stuff. But yeah, I definitely use that tactic for sure.
Cool. Where did you see that question? Because I'm not.
It's on your live.
I see. I don't see.
So we have another one.
Yeah, go for it, man. I can't see these.
It says,
why? So go ahead.
One says, where are you running your ads at? I'm running my ads at only in Dallas, Fort Worth, because that's where I'm from. And I try to make it easy for myself, just in case I do need to go to the house and walk through the process. So I mean, selling in different states and stuff like that, it's not going to be hard either. But you just have to be open. I just like my area, so that's where I'm marketing at. And what kind of questions do you ask, Jimmy Evers? I probably already answered that question, as far as what questions do I ask. But yeah, man.
Ask questions that move your objective forward. So move you closer to, either if you're on the phone with them, move you closer to getting the appointment, or if you're still qualifying them, move you closer to getting them qualified, but doing it in a way that's not putting them on the defensive, that keeps them engaged and still building that rapport in the process. Yeah, so I see these now. I had to go and find them, but I mean, that's it for the most part. I don't think I have any more questions, Gus. I appreciate it. For those of you, if anyone has any questions for Gus and want to reach out to him directly, I think he said Zero Down. What was it? What was your Instagram?
Zero Down Solar with Gus.
Zero Down Solar with Gus on Instagram, and Gus Ve he's here on Facebook as well. I appreciate your time. I hope that some people got some insights, and we'll have to do this again sometime.
Sounds like a good idea, buddy.
Awesome.
I'm gonna get back on the phone.
Yeah. Start making those calls. I hope everyone else that's watching this has an awesome day. Go out there and let's crush some online leads.
Let's do it.
All right.
Thanks, Kyle.
You're welcome, man. Have a good one. Let's see if I can figure out how to even turn this off.